of the San Carlos Computer Club. I'm Scott Stimson from International Computer Solutions here in wonderful Anchorage, Alaska, and we've been chatting about the weather with Bill. Fred and Chester's just joined us. Good morning, all. I imagine we'll have some other stragglers come join us as we get into the meeting more. If you haven't seen it yet, I was really late getting this stuff out. I think it might have been just this morning, but I'll put in the chat a link to the document that we're using for today's meeting. I don't think I've left any old topics on here. It's all new topics. And as usual, I would be more interested in your topics. So I am curious to hear how your week in tech has gone since the last time we talked. Any of you folks brought your own topics today? I'm going to take dead silence as a no, we didn't. Well, one topic Bill brought that I thought that we should share with the others is about his microphone on, it was an iPad, is that correct, Bill?
Yes, an iPad.
It's an iPad. Bill, your voice has gotten tremendously higher.
Smart Alec.
Has he wandered off? I was hoping he would share with Fred and Chester what his solution.
Okay. I've been having trouble with the microphone on this iPad for 2-3 weeks.
You guys probably heard it. Like we were talking about it last week, right?
Yeah, I tried it each time in here, and then when I FaceTime my brother, he says, I can hardly hear you, so I'd have to go on my phone.
It was really muffled.
Yeah, and I would forget, after using it, I would never get back to it. So the other day I got serious about it, went on the website, and the first thing they suggested is check your microphone, make sure it's not plugged. So I did. They said take a little soft brush and brush the microphone hole, I guess.
The orifice is just this little tiny pinhole.
It's about the size of a pencil dot. It's just extremely small. Anyway, so I brushed it, and it said just using canned air to blow it out. So I did, and wow, I'm back in business. So that's the first thing you check if you start having trouble with your microphone. Make sure it's not plugged.
Yeah, I wouldn't even have thought that it could be plugged by debris. That would be make such a dramatic difference. But you were saying that with your hearing aids, that's one of the first tech suggested that they actually came with a special brush.
Oh yeah, that's the brush I used. It's just a little it's long-haired black brush that's quite soft. It won't damage anything, and that's the first thing. It's one of the regular maintenance things you're supposed to do is clean out your microphones on the hearing aids. Hearing aids these days usually have 2 microphones and with 3 access ports or holes, and you just brush on them. And every once in a while, you look at it. If you look through the one, you can see through it, and you look in there, and you'll see little pieces of dirt that have accumulated. So that's one of the first things they suggest if you're having trouble hearing.
You know what I'm remembering as you're talking about this? I'm flashing back on a half a dozen cheap Bluetooth headphones that I have owned throughout the years. And they typically work all right. I mean, I've never paid a lot of money for them, probably under $20. And so when they've had problems, I just chalked it up for poor quality Chinese crap that I knew I was going to replace when I bought it. But one thing that I know I never tried to do, and microphones were always a problem with these headphones, is I never tried to clean the microphone. And I wonder if that would have resolved the problem I was having. It was more than one, too. Something to keep in mind in the future.
Well, I have an external Bluetooth speaker that has a microphone on it, and I've always had trouble getting Amazon to respond to it. So, I got triggered my Amazon. But I'm going to go back now that I think about it and see if that might not help.
Wow, this is probably the most helpful tip we've had. Might be the most helpful tip today, because I'm remembering now as well. I have an Amazon remote control back in Mexico that I've been furious with, because it sometimes works and it's always getting I mean, when I say sometimes works, the Amazon Fire Stick remote controls, you can press a voice button and give it commands, and it's very helpful instead of using a keyboard. If you're in a YouTube search, or if you're at a keyboard prompt on your Fire Stick, you can hit the blue button and say what's supposed to be in the keyboard. So I've got one back home that is garbling the input. When I speak to it, it has no idea what I'm saying. It can't determine the words. And I wonder if it's the same kind of thing. I wonder if the microphone has debris in it, causing it to fail. I figured the microphone had failed from the sheer number of times that it hit the floor. But now I'm going to go back to Mexico and see if I can clean the microphone and get it to work correctly. A follow-up to the Fire Stick microphone remote control story is that I was so frustrated with not being able to use it, I went out online to buy a new Fire remote control for that Fire Stick. It's an original 4K. When I started pricing what was available to me, and I'm sure Amazon does this on purpose, it was cheaper to just go ahead and buy a whole new stick than it was to just buy the remote I needed. And so that's what I ended up doing, was just buying a whole stick. Welcome, Mom. We were just talking about cleaning microphones to get better sound out of them.
Good morning. Well, sorry I missed that. I'm not with you very long today. I have to get ready for a doctor's appointment, but I wanted to listen for a while.
All right. Well, did you happen to bring any topics with you today? Because we were just talking about Bill's failed microphone on his iPad was just repaired simply by brushing it out with a soft brush.
That sounds good. Topics? No, I still can't do anything on my computer. Does that work as a topic?
Maybe.
No,
Yeah, maybe a topic for those Apple courses. Do they still do those? I haven't paid any attention to the Apple Store, but you guys remember, you used to be able to sign up for courses, especially when they had new technology out, like put out a new version of Final Cut. They have these free courses you could sign up for the Apple Store.
We used to be able to go down and take them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have brought 3 topics myself that I thought were very interesting. These are new topics. Nothing left over from last week. I think we got through everything before it got stale last week. But the first one I found kind of interesting. If you haven't seen this, Microsoft has banned in Android phones and switched to iPhones in China. Part of a big security push and kind of a strange identity crisis. Microsoft has told all its Chinese employees that they will only be using iPhones, and they're actually sending out iPhone 15s to every one of their employees that doesn't already have one. They state in this that the reason they're doing this is so that they can standardize on one platform to lock down Microsoft security. And Microsoft just had a breach. This one just had a breach. They had breaches last year in their Exchange email system. And that's a corporate-based on-site system. So it really is corporation issues. There was another breach. Where is it? I read it in several embarrassing breaches. Now stated. Oh yeah, from Russia, or so they think. Where they actually got executives' emails and source code. So they've had a new mandate to update their security internally, and this was their solution, was to standardize on iPhones. This really calls to the new world of Microsoft. Microsoft's been working very hard hand in hand with Android to mesh their Windows operating systems and make it easy for Androids to since they don't have their own, to be compatible with the Windows ecosystem. And this is an about face in China. The other thing that's interesting, and you'll see if you read this Tech Spot articles, one of the nice things about reading tech news online is that people are allowed to comment. And if you go down to the comments section, one guy here is not an idiot. We know that that iOS, Apple has given allowances to do business in China, and one of them is all that data that is stored in China that the Chinese government has access to. And so, yeah, they have this need for security against hackers, but apparently they're switching over to iOS for security in China, and it's a little difficult to not think that maybe the reason they're doing it is because they're under the same mandates that Apple was, and the easiest way to satisfy those mandates by the Chinese government is to use a platform that's already satisfying those. And so I think it's not improper to think this isn't a security as much as it's a political a policy change, that they are trying to satisfy whatever the Chinese government is expecting from an organization functioning. No comments. Nobody cares. I thought it was interesting. I just like the identity crisis of Microsoft switching a bunch of their employees over to iPhone, so not allowing Android phone part of it. Won't even allow the big ones in China right now are Huawei and Xiaomi, and you know that those have been banned from export in U.S. markets. They can't sign contracts with AT&T or T-Mobile. You can still get one. You can put an American SIM in it, but it's not supported, not distributed, sold as. And those are the biggest platforms in China. So those are not part of it. But the iPhone, the more I think about this, the more I feel like China went to Microsoft and said, we need to be able to track your data if you want to do business in China. Here are your options. And Microsoft chose iPhone.
Doesn't speak very highly of their product then, huh? Their phone product?
Well, they don't have a phone product anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so they are reliant on being partnered with other phone manufacturers. And in China, Xiaomi, Huawei would be perfectly acceptable by the Chinese government. And so is iPhone, because of all the hoops that Apple has gone through to make it acceptable to their government for their populace. And an ironic thing about that is, though the Chinese government has its hands in the data that is generated using iPhone data, the Chinese government has advised their departments to stop using iPhone. And I believe that is because of the potential risk of their Chinese data being brought over to the United States through Apple. And so
I don't think so. I would imagine it's because Apple has pulled out of China all of their a lot, or I don't know if not all, but a substantial portion of
no,
their phone manufacturing.
Chester, they have not pulled out of China. They've been working towards pulling out, but a large portion of their manufacturing is still happening in China, dependent on the Chinese government for them to be able to build their products. Foxconn is mostly still in China. They've done the they've gone into other areas, but they're still their biggest supplier is China. The as far and what I was referring to really was less about where they were manufacturing and more about where data is accessible. And so the iPhone market selling to consumers in China has only been allowed because Apple has agreed to host data of those consumers in that country. They have, and by what that means is that they're using Chinese servers for iCloud data. It's basically not iCloud; it's Chinese iCloud. I don't even know what it's called at the moment. But it represents servers that the government has access to under Chinese law because they have to do business in China under Chinese law. Chinese law requires the government to be able to have access to the data of its citizens. And so the data needs to be hosted in China under those conditions. And that's the reason that the iPhone is available in their marketplace. Microsoft is in China doing business. They have a corporate entity there. They have managers and employees all working in China. And they probably have to fall under the same mandate under this security exploration that they've been doing to try and beef up their own security. They still need to comply with Chinese law. And I'm imagining that what happened is the Chinese government says you can use one of these phones. The iPhone is acceptable, and they picked it because it's a phone company. Then going back to what I was saying about the irony of it is that the Chinese government won't allow their people to pick iPhone, and there has been a drop in iPhone sales in China recently. And so here's another, I mean, Microsoft is not a small entity. So here's some big sales in iPhones just happening. So it sounds like American companies trying to make the best of a weird situation. Well, staying on the security theme, I also brought an article that talks about the latest 10 billion passwords leaked. You guys saw this? Largest compilation of all time. 10 million passwords leaked. There's nothing new here. This is the same garbage as any other time. In fact, this is called the RockU 2024 list. But they've had a list. In fact, this article refers back to the last really large RockU was a 2021 release. And it's accumulation. It's a data set of known plain text passwords with corresponding email addresses. And it's been combined from all different breaches throughout 2024. up to this point, actually. If you read through this article, they talk about how, what's the name? Cyber News has combined this together, now has something like 17 billion compromised passwords in total. And you can go to their list to check and see if your email address has been found in any of these compromises. Your email list, email or your phone. The mother of all breaches. 12 terabytes of information. 26 billion records. Where is they go into this article. If you're interested in why this is such a big deal, is that they go into a process called credential stuffing. You haven't heard that before. What that is taking a list like this and just slamming services and devices with usernames and passwords, just one after one after one after one, and recording the results. And so you're really, the credential stuffing has become such a commonplace way of brute forcing anything that there are a number of services out there that are jamming up that attempt by, you've had this experience before, if you get a password wrong on a certain account over a number of times, then it would shut down your ability to log in for a period. There are services out there now that are looking for login attempts that are failing in great numbers to identify whether a brute force credential stuffing attack is happening, so that it can stop that behavior. It may also end up stopping legitimate behavior. The fact. Oh, I'm sorry, Chester. Go ahead.
Were these cell phone passwords or were they computer passwords? Does it say?
It actually talks about it in a way that you would need to assume it's all of that, because it's a collection of passwords from various sources that all have been put into one big text file, and that's what's been released now on the internet. And this text file is used for these brute force attacks. So it could be for cell phones, it could be for services out there like Hotmail, Yahoo, or Netflix, but it also could be passwords used for your Ring doorbell or your security camera or your Xbox. It could come from any direction. And the big threat here is password reuse. So you've got an email address or a username associated with a password, and quite potentially you have used that same combination on other services out there. And so this is in a list of users and passwords that are tried on that service, but also tried on devices like the router that comes into your house. You could imagine if I can imagine this. I've never heard of this, but I can imagine this kind of breach. There is some algorithm that creates those default passwords on stickers that get put on your router, like Helmex or from Linksys. When you first buy your router, it's got the default password. If you reset your router, it's got a default password. And you can imagine that there might be a way to collect all those default passwords and stick them into a brute force attack. I mean, that's essentially what this is it's just a list of what people commonly use for usernames and passwords. And it can, because of its form, it can be used against devices and services simply just by knocking on the door and saying this is who you are, keeping track of which ones are successful. I was looking for one of the things that I wanted to share in this topic was checking to see if you've been breached. Some of you have already done this kind of stuff before. And it was in here somewhere that there was a link that took me to it. Rock you to breach. It was just on it. Should have left it open. Now if I find it, here it is. How to check your password. Personal. So this is the page. Stick that. Now there are a number of different ways to do this. Right there. But essentially you can type in an email address. It searches its database, tells you where it has been leaked. This is my Gmail account. Your personal data was found leaked from Wattpad and Gravatar. I have to know what these services are to understand what it's telling me. Wattpad is a place for, it's an app that allows you to read novels written by up-and-coming artists. It's a self-publishing, free publishing platform. Apparently, they have been, I didn't know this until just this moment, that they have been breached. And what this is telling me is I should go change my password on Wattpad. Gravatar, I have not used in 10 years. But it is a service out there that allows you to keep a avatar photo of yourself online and then refer to it from other services so that you don't have to publish a photo for each service you might have, like Twitter, like I don't know, tracks.tv, whatever it might be. I don't have to upload a photo. And WordPress will look at Gravatar for your photo. Yeah, Chester, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to read your document, but does the document give the address where you can go check like you did to see if you've been compromised?
Well, actually, this is kind of what I wanted to talk a little bit about. Cyber News is the one that's been really good about keeping a database of this and making it easy to check. And I'm going to put that link in our document right here so that you can check it. I'll also, let me paste it into our chat so that it's right where I am. Having lost here we are. Got too many. I'll paste it into our chat right. But I also wanted to point out that a good password manager will include services for checking this stuff itself. And even Google has one. If you were to go into your Google profile, see I've got a Chrome here. Here's the account for the San Carlos Computer Club. This is your password list, password manager. And if you go to just do it. Sign site. There it is, password. Screen. Password manager, second one left, checkup. No compromised passwords. Oh, I'm breaking my own rules. I've got 3 reused passwords and 2 weak passwords. This is good advice. I'm not going to open up what any of that is on screen. I already compromised myself enough by allowing the list of services that the Computer Club has access to. opened up a compromise right there. Somebody could that list, but I'm not going to display any passwords. But so that's built right into the Google Password Manager that check passwords. I also use Bitwarden, and Bitwarden has a checker. And what it does is it goes to a database, such as Cyber News' database, and looks up your credentials versus what has been disclosed on the internet. A good practice would be to get rid of that username. Like I showed you I showed you at least one email that that is compromised across services. If I were to change email addresses on all my services, that would no longer be a potential compromise. It's a ugly, painful way to deal with a security problem, but sometimes that's the best solution, is to go through your services and associate them with new email address. Fred, I see you have your hand up.
I keep getting emails from you that it's it says that it's only there for 24 hours. And I opened one up this morning, which was you put up there, I guess, today, and it already was gone. You know, whatever you've written, I haven't been able to see for.
Fred, there's nothing, I don't send out anything like that. Everything should always be accessible.
Well, it sits there and says that it's.
Maybe it has something to do with the email address that you're receiving it at. Is
Well,
it
I
a
received.
Google account?
I have a Google account. I have a AOL account.
I'm just quickly checking it, contact, see what I've listed it. Because
I think you have
maybe
Google account.
yeah, if you have a Google account, I wouldn't expect it to act any different. Maybe there's something different about outset. I've got your kite maker.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll tell you what I'll do while we're on the phone.
Yeah,
I'll see if I can find it and forward it to you.
yeah, because you should have 2 messages from me. I think they both got sent out. Yeah, one got sent out at 7 o'clock this morning. The one, I don't see the other one.
I've received two.
Well, good. Oh, that's right. Okay. Yeah, maybe it doesn't. I don't think it shows up. One of them is associated with the document. The other one is a proper email. I share the document and send a notification to people. And so that looks different. It's because that comes in the box. It doesn't. But either one of them you should be able to go back to at any time. Document. And I've never heard of anything like it. 24-hour expiry time. That's very strange. Let's see what that makes me nervous. Something weird's going on. I hope that's not the case. I had a something weird's going on moment at work recently. Twice I was asked to make an invoice. I'm sorry, not make an invoice. Twice an accountant has sent me an invoice she cannot open. And I thought that was odd the first time, but then to get the second one. And it's from a supplier. I haven't been involved in talking to the supplier, trying to change their ways. But I just wanted to make it clear that that it's suspicious if you send a document asking for money that is written in a format that can only be opened up by Macintoshes running Apple software. It just throws up red flags. It's not correct etiquette. Normally, if you send an invoice, you do it in PDF form. You do it in a lowest common denominator format. Something that could be read on a phone, under Android or iOS. It could be read Windows or Macintosh. It would not be dependent. And when it happened the second time, I felt obliged to share this with the accountant. I'm sure this is on the up and up, but it gives me red flags, and it doesn't feel very professional. That an invoice would be sent in a format that only a particular subset could read. And I would argue that they have. I mean, I actually told her we've got to adjust our policies so that we are accepting general common, and somebody should be trying to bill us using this file format. None of the computers in the office, and quite literally, they're just the convenience of me running a current Macintosh is what's making it possible for her to read this invoice. I don't know why I started talking about it. There was a point there somewhere, but I lost it. So, back to passwords. If you're using a password manager, there should be something that would flag you if you've got compromised passwords. Probably do more analysis like the Google one we just saw. It did even more analysis. It pointed out where I had used the same password on a number of different accounts. So I feel obligated to go and remedy that, because that's exactly what we're talking about with this credential stuffing, is that if all they would need is one username and password, and they could try it across at least 3 different systems, and it would still functioning. Hey Fred, I see you got in. This is the document. The bear left over from this time. Ooh. Just got notice that we have 15 minutes left in this meeting. What is this? Somebody stick this in here?
What are you talking about? The Stadel?
Yeah, what is that?
Hey, it's a website, which is it's a game that I play. It's my geography game.
Okay.
So I have to identify the state. So first comes a picture, and lo and behold, I knew that one. And then
I was going to say, that's where I am.
I was going to say, and I thought Sandy might like this one too. So once you type in a guess, and it starts, you start typing Alaska, and it'll, there you go. You can select it, or you can, it'll tell you you're wrong. Yeah. Anyway, so once you get it right, they give you the next puzzle. And the next one will be what is the neighbors. And this is interesting for me because the neighbors to Alaska, we play bonus round, the next one.
What do I hit? Play bonus round.
Yeah. That's the neighbor.
Yeah. Of course it is.
So once you get the neighbor right, then they bring up another one. They want to know if you know the capital. Then you can put state. Let's see what else. So there were interesting places. There's about, look at the top there where it says capital. If you drop down that arrow.
Oh.
Yeah, Juneau. There you go. So you drop down that top one. Yeah, you got to do the flag, which I know is the Big Dipper. And then you guess the population. Yep, you're doing well. Oh,
well, it's Alaska.
You missed one. The tourist attraction or whatever. back one on the bottom there. Denali. Yeah. And so every day, every morning, they'll have another full set. So you have to move the city into the population. Scroll down, you'll see 4 cities.
Ah, okay. Very cool.
So you have, pick. I always get Juneau and Fairbanks reversed because they're very close in population.
Well, it's because the census stopped including the borough around Fairbanks. Fairbanks actually has like 80,000 people in it. But the problem is they all live like 50 miles away from the city.
Right, there you go. So try Fairbanks next, and
I think Fairbanks has ended up the second or the third largest, and Juneau is now considered the second. Oh no!
Nope. Yeah, that's what I did. Yeah. I did the exact same thing, and then what's the? Is that it? Let me see at the top. If you drop down the popular cities, yeah, I think that's it. So this is Statal. So this is the, every morning I get the Statal one, and I often do it. Sometimes I don't. And then the other one is World, WORLD. And it's all over the world with shapes and different facts and languages and stuff. It's a fun game.
Worldle.
Yeah.
From the same company.
I think so. Yeah.
These have French domains. Hi.
That's in Africa. I'm getting close. It tells me 90%. I put Zimbabwe in, and it's 90% close. And yeah.
Oh, at least it's multiple choice. I was just thinking from an American perspective, I'm not going to know any of these countries.
Well, and you kind of get
close. If it's not Canada, Mexico, Brazil, I'm probably going to be lost.
So I first typed in Iraq because I thought it was maybe something like that. So they give you the direction and how many kilometers. So you can go on to Google Earth and you can, you can pinpoint them down. It's kind of an educational tool.
Go down, it goes south.
Yes.
7,500 kilometers. 7,500.
Yeah. Put in Zimbabwe.
Okay, but you got to know I'm just guessing at that point.
Well, you see, I guess.
Got to go back up a little bit. 669
kilometers from Zimbabwe. So I would then go to Google Earth and I would, look at the countries and see that shape. And anyways, so
this is
then
fun.
The next questions. Oh yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it's part of my, keep the old brain alert and stuff. So I've mentioned Statal before, but those are two.
I remember you've talked about these Wordle type games, but it makes a big difference actually looking at it. I had not associated with an activity. This is cool.
Yeah, so those are my 2 geography ones. I do about 5 different sets of Wordle, Canuckle. There's a Canadian word every day, and then it gives you all kinds of facts about that word. Like, for instance, today is Nunavut Day. And so all kinds of interesting facts and things about it, and sometimes they're funny.
Did you say ludicist?
Nunavut.
Oh, Nunavik. I thought maybe you were somewhere in Norway.
Yeah, no, that one's fun. And then I do like a Quordle, which is 4 word problems at the same time, or the Octal, which is 8, and so keeps my brain going.
Those are great suggestions. Thank you.
Those websites. And then the other thing I put in is a book thing that was just sent to me this morning. It's Book Browse, and it's it's popular books of all time for book clubs. And it's kind of interesting. They compare 2024 with 2020, and there are some that are still on the list, kind of thing. Yeah, you don't need that, but these are the book club's all-time favorite books. Scroll down, and they give you the list. And they make some neat comparisons even further down, where they talk about the ones that are still on there from 2020 in 2024.
Oh wow.
And I found this fact interesting, that of the 10 most popular book club books, the one is a nonfiction, The Boys in the Boat. And the other point that they make is historical fictions are often popular with these book clubs.
I feel very unread because Boys in the Boat are the only title that I'm recognizing.
Oh,
And I didn't even read that book. I saw the movie.
oh yeah, okay. A lot of them have been made into movies, like Where the Crawdads Sing. We read that
Oh
before.
yeah, yeah. I
Made
did
into a
not see
movie.
that movie.
Lessons in Chemistry was made into a series. All the Light We Cannot See. I watched the movie. I didn't read the book. Yeah. Oh, you haven't seen that one?
All the Light We See? No, what is that?
Okay, you got to put that on the movies recommendation then. All the Light We Cannot See. It's basically a blind girl, and I'm gonna get the war wrong, but see if you can look up the movie.
It's on Netflix right now.
Yeah, I thought we talked about that one. She ends up being a spy, kind of accidentally. But anyways, she's a blind girl in this village.
Wow. Yeah. No, I hadn't even heard of it.
Oh, that is a great movie.
But it looks like it's a limited TV series from 2023.
Okay, maybe it's not a movie. It's a limited series. Yeah, mini
It's like
series.
4 episodes.
Yeah, it's 4 episodes. I think they were binged in one night in San Carlos.
You're like, it was a movie to me.
It was a very long movie. Yeah.
Very
No,
cool.
it was very well done. I know some of our book club read the book. I just watched the movie, but yeah, I highly recommend it.
Brad, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I found out where it's under Facebook, and it is. Yeah, I have one. The one I found here. Just a second. Was Saturday.
If he's
you
looking at Facebook messages, things like sometimes you get notifications that people have posted things to news reel, and sometimes they post it to my story. And Scott did post something on the weekend to the story, and if you don't see in the first 24 hours, it does disappear. So there's 2 ways to post to Facebook. One is on your wall. It's called your news feed. And the other one is my story. And if you're in TikTok or Instagram or anything, it automatically goes to the stories. So
yeah, that would make a lot of sense, Fred. And you're probably getting a notification because you follow the computer club. So but you're probably not following Facebook regularly. So maybe Facebook is saying, "Hey, the computer club posted something." What Cheryl's saying makes a lot of sense. If you're posting as a story, then it is only good for like 24 hours and then it expires. It's some of that what's the word I'm looking for? It's volatile. It doesn't stick around.
my niece lives in Dubai, and their technology is so limited on things that they can use, social platforms they're allowed on, and things like that. Anyway, so she only uses, I think it's her Instagram account, or it could be TikTok actually, and all of her posts come on Facebook in this story area. And then I don't see them. If I don't see them right away, then they're gone, and I don't get access to them anymore. She can't seem to post to her news feed from within Dubai.
Cheryl, what's
Yeah.
the name of the book club thing that you were talking about?
Okay, it's in the document. It's a link to it. It's one that my girlfriend sent out. It's called Book Browse.
Book bookbrowse.com. And the link Cheryl's given us is the 24
I can probably send it to you in Messenger or something.
favorites. I can do it. I can stick it in our messenger.
And then Sandy should be able to just click on it.
Yep.
Fabulous. Thank you.
This is what it looks like. Never heard of Book Browse.
One of our girls, Amy, I don't know if you guys know her in San Carlos, she belongs to Book Browse, and she also belongs to this organization, I guess, where she is sent books to review pre-publishing.
Oh.
So she often gets to the books before they're even coming out, and they send her different ones to read. And because she agrees to
Welcome
write
to
reviews on them and things like that,
We're
she
here to
gets
help you
free
find-
books all the time. And yeah, it could be part of this one, but I think it's a paid subscription, so I don't pay for it. But it's very similar to Goodreads, I think.
I was going to say, even their motif is very Goodreads.
Yes.
Almost looks like it's trying to confuse you into thinking it's Goodreads.
Yeah. But you can buy books and everything off of Book Browse, and this could be the company that she writes the reviews for.
Well, cool. At the very least, another source for book recommendations.
Mm-hmm.
We got under a minute.
Oh, we
yeah.
should switch to our other meat. Pull it up now. Just waiting
Okay,
for
guys,
you
I'm
guys.
gonna tell you goodbye.
Bye,
Okay, have a
Mom.
good.
Thanks.
Take
for
care, Sandy.
You too. Bye-bye.
As for the rest of you, I'm waiting in the other group.
and recommends only the best. Then we give you the information you need to decide which of these are right for you. But we do much more than this. For each featured book, we provide an in-depth review, an excerpt, and an article that explores a historical, cultural, or contextual aspect of the book. You'll find all that's new in our online magazine, or you can build your own reading list by searching by genre, time period, setting, and a wide range of themes.
Nobody? Bueller? Are you all done? Sit here. Hello? Oh, can you hear me out there? I hope I'm getting recorded without. Testing, testing, testing. We'll see if these guys show up. Ah, there's Fred. Welcome back. You're the only one here right now. You and me. Fred, have you got a recommendation for our group?
No, not at the moment. I have a couple of questions. How can I access what you're putting there after we get off the air?
Well, it should still be available to you from that email that you got this morning.
Afterwards? Because, you sit there and you've just found the book thing, and you added it to our list, but that seems to go away as soon as we go away.
Well, what you're describing is the chat, and
Yeah.
the chat does go away. But but this document that I'm looking at right now, that I'm working on as we're talking, that'll still be here later.
But will you add the stuff from the document or from the chat to the document?
I typically do, depending on what it is we're sharing. It's typically either already in the document, or I add it on the fly at the same time. Like we were just talking about All the Light You Can See. I've put a link to that Netflix series here. These two websites that Cheryl put the first one, but I put the second one, the Worldle and the Statal.
Uh-huh.
And the book club she stuck down here on this. And so this whole document will remain available to you.
Okay.
I'll send you the link again here in our chat. The chat will disappear when we close, but this document will continue to persist in Google Docs with you having access to it.
Okay.
And actually, Fred, why don't I do this? For anybody that's interested, I guess I gotta stop. We have a folder of all of these documents that you should have access to with your Google account. Why don't you click on this link and see if that opens up? That's in our chat, the last link. And if you open that up, what you'll see is a list. You'll see a folder of all the previous documents that we've created for each meeting.
Oh, okay. Now, how do I get to that?
Just follow that link that I put in the chat.
Okay.
And then, yeah, I don't know, you might want to bookmark it. Maybe I should make that part of my email. Is here's a link to everything we've ever documented.
That would be good.
I used to take all the information from the document and get it onto the blog post. But I've gotten so occupied with other activities that this is where we're at now. Is if you want the links and the notes from the meeting, you're gonna have access to Google Docs, because I just don't have the time to do that much administration.
Okay.
But those emails that I sent, what I do, I mean, my workflow is I take a document like this for next week. I'll create a new one that looks similar to this. Sometimes I screw up. I forget to switch the date, but I try and switch the date. It's basically a direct copy. And I put in, I'm realizing I'm talking, but so I make a direct copy of this document, and then I create it for the next week, and I switch the meeting number, the title, the date, the virtual meet number. This is how many meets we've had virtually since COVID.
Okay, so that's not today's, right?
This is
No.
today's.
Okay, well, when I opened it, I don't have that. We are using the meat code. I don't have all that stuff on the top.
Well, maybe it's the view that you're looking at.
Well, I get the YouTube. It starts at the YouTube. It says possible topics at the top, and then it gets the YouTube thing, and then down. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Well, there is a way to view this document. Let's see.
Well, I'm back to fighting with my Google again because it wants me to buy more storage, and it's telling me that it's full.
Is this what you're talking about, this kind of view?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm not viewing the header.
Yeah. You've got the show print layout. It's not checked.
All right, I'm going to it right now. So your storage is full. You can't upload new files to the drive. Get that all the time. So when I'm in it, oh, there you go. I just pushed the little thing on the side, and the third, no. How do I view that? No, I still don't have it.
I see you in the document, though.
Print layout?
Print layout. View print layout. Show print
Got
layout.
it.
There you go.
Got it. Now they're there. That'd be much easier to link to the new meat code because I have to go back to the.
That's an interesting formatting issue that I did not realize existed. I may have dropped that meat code line into the body, so it's not dependent on the header, just because you that's the way your doc is set up, and you were talking about missing that information before, and I had no idea what you were talking about.
Yeah. So I just, over on the side, the 3 buttons, current viewers, you're in it, I'm in it. Yeah, there we go. So it's my view, you're right.
This is check your password. Check your username for password.
Yeah. We just received a thing from Las Vegas. There's a class action suit against, I think it was Caesars, that their whole computer system was hacked. The Caesars casinos were closed down for gambling for about,
Well,
I
yeah,
think it was
I remember
2 days.
that.
Yeah. Well, anyways, because we have players' cards with them, we both have been added to this class action thing. So we're supposed to go online. We can opt out. We can say we don't want to be part of it. We can put in for payments to cover lost time, any data breaches, if we can prove that they were responsible for us having to deal with identity theft and all that kind of stuff. There's amounts that they're paying, or there's a flat fee of $50 that they're giving to everyone because of this compromise. So Bill and I will be putting for the $50.
Yeah. That's how much your privacy is worth, actually. Hey, look, if you how much would you want to collect if bad people got a hold of your private information? $50. Yeah.
Well, the list of the different amounts, like up to, so many thousand for if you had to create new, if you had to apply for new numbers and different things. So, but anyways.
It's interesting. I wonder if this is, I haven't paid any attention to this part of the industry, but I wonder if there's a whole section of insurance that's being touted, like an organization like Caesars could pay cyber insurance so that if there was a breach, there'd be a pool of money to dish out to make people happy.
Well, we haven't talked about the Boeing. Boeing Airlines, boy, we keep hearing more and more about the charges that they're going to have for saying that they were going to look after things and not doing it. And geez, that's a huge.
I think because of the Boeing circumstances, I would be really nervous as an astronaut on the International Space Station right now. They haven't given us a return date, and everybody's saying it's fine. But they keep postponing coming back. Talk about hubris. Boeing has become a victim of their own hubris.
Okay, well, I have to dash too, and Billy's gone, so we will see you guys next week.
All right, that's good. We have reached the end of our hour. We've gotten through some recommendations. Fred, you got any last words for this meeting? Because it's just you and me, buddy. You have lost the sound. You're not having a good. I guess we're done. We're done. We're done. Maybe a Bluetooth device connected. It doesn't matter because we are finished. This has been the San Carlos Computer Club. I'm Scott Stimpson. You can see it down there in the corner. It's International Computer Solutions. If you're looking for any kind of remote help, I'm your guy, Scott at internationalcs.net. And if you enjoyed the San Carlos Computer Club, then please check us out at scclub.org, where we've got a blog that posts links to all these episodes that we do. We do them on YouTube, so you can just, if you want to lurk, you can just watch us talk. We're cool with that. Leave us comments on YouTube, whatever whatever tickles your fancy, or join us, get involved. Anyone is welcome to join us. We do use Google Meet, so you got to have a Google account to get connected to the meeting. But other than that, I think that's the only requirement. Just, an enthusiast's perspective on what's happening in the tech world. We'll talk to you next week. Until then, tech on.